Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast Radio Show, coming to you on this Sunday, November the 17th, 2024. Hopefully, it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. On today's episode, we are talking about my training, nutrition, and supplementation protocol for the end of the year here and heading into 2025. So we'll probably just title this my training, nutrition, and supplementation for 2025. I know a lot of you guys ask, some of you guys in the app, I tend to share these pieces as I go throughout the year. But as I age, obviously things change. I make updates as I go based on how I feel, how I'm moving, and as my goals, kind of move with me as I move through life. So I'll share the good, the bad, and the ugly of that with all of you guys today. Couple quick things. One, on the app front. So again, you guys know JeremyScottFitness.app. You guys always get a week for free, forever on me if you want to try. If you've never been in there, pop in, do all the stuff that you have access to. My personal weekly workouts are updated every Sunday. You'll get the new ones later on today for people trying to listen to this in real time. And I think there's 25 other full programs in there from 4 weeks to 10 weeks in length. We are going to do a huge kind of Black Friday sale starting on, I believe, November the 25th. So it'll probably come out in the newsletter on the 25th. I'll share it here if you like stories. I'm going to put all the links actually in the show notes right now if you guys want to pop on it early so you get essentially like a full week ahead of everybody else. We're going to cap the number that we sell of these, but we're going to do all our flagship programs. So our 47-day transformation, our 12-week ultimate total body trainer, and then our rebuilt program. Full breakdown is going to be in the links. You guys can check those out. But those are our very in-depth, detailed programs. Obviously, the 12 weeks takes you through 12 weeks. The rebuilt is 6. And the 47-day, like it sounds, it's 47 days. Not real surprising. But we break that down for you guys in there, what you get inside of it. We will run the 47-day when we start in January as kind of a community as a whole. But you can buy it now and then just dig into it. Take what you want, leave the rest until we start in January, and then you can kick off with us then, or you can do the whole program now. There's really no wrong way to go about it. So that's going to be coming in the newsletter in a week. But you guys, if you check the show notes on this episode, you'll see all the discounts below. You can pick up what you want, and we can go from there. And then all the other sponsors, I'm just going to talk about periodically through here since really we're going to do a nutrition and a real big supplement piece here in the episode. So you guys will kind of get the stuff I'm taking every day, what I think works, what I think is worth your money, not worth your money, and kind of everything in between. So that's what we got cooking here. But there is 2 things I snapped the other day that I thought would be just helpful for people to hear. The first one, and I'm going to butcher this dude's name. I believe if you say it right, it's Hiroku Sanada. You've seen him in like John Wick 4. I think he's in a handful of, I think he's on Bullet Train. He's in a couple of different films as of late. And if you guys Google it, it'll pop up. But he had an awesome quote I wanted to share with you guys, just kind of food for thought to take you through your week. Again, all stuff we know, but we forget as we get busy with life, chasing things, goals, material stuff, status, you name it. It's just nice to hear the reminder. And the quote goes something like this. There are those who want a swimming pool in a house, while those who have one barely use it. Those who have lost loved ones feel a deep sense of loss, while others who hold them close often complain about them. Those who don't want to have a partner yearn for him, but those who have one sometimes don't value him. The hungry would give anything for a plate of food, while the well-fed complain about the taste. The ones who don't deserve a car of their dreams are the ones who are always looking for a better one. The key is to be grateful and look carefully at what you have and understand that somewhere someone would give everything for what you already have and don't appreciate. End quote. It's pretty much the t-shirts that we make here. It's actually the most popular selling t-shirt we've ever made. It's the one that we give away to most people when we do prize giveaways. It's just someone else is praying for the things that you take for granted. And all of you guys know that. But a lot of times, especially this time of year, you get into like the holiday season. Hopefully it's this like sense of giving and helping other people out. But a lot of times people get wrapped up in a lot of the bullshit. And I'm not saying like don't go have a nice car and don't, want to live in the nicest house and do all those fancy things. I go, but if you really strip it down, like you probably already have enough. And that's, I guess, kind of the biggest takeaway. We just think like, oh, I need to have newer and better and always. And I'm not saying don't work hard, to improve your life. But it's like the gap in the gain theory, right? Like when you look at where your life is, all we do is compare to the gap in our life, like where we haven't gone yet versus the gain. And if you rewinded it back and said, hey, 20 years ago, would you have any idea you'd be where you're at today? And most people would say, no, this would be amazing. This would be great. And yet you get here and you still want more and more and more. And so just a little message of perspective as we kind of head into the holiday-ish season. And the other piece I did find was, I don't know who posted this, but it was a little gem. And I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but as I look at them, like they look pretty legit for the most people. And it kind of goes off the average adult in terms of being healthy and what you're doing with your time, effort, energy. And it says the average adult gains 10 to 15 pounds every 5 years. And it's probably like average is probably true. You're talking 2 to 3 pounds a year every year. I have like college teammates that are probably like in that boat. So I'd say that's probably pretty legit. The average adult can't do a single pull up. I think at Men's Health, there was a poll and we did a video series where I think they said the average adult could do like one pull up. And that probably was like a fitness based people, which is, again, if you're over 200 pounds for anybody, pull ups it's the ultimate upper body test of strength. Like really it is. Like it's like a deadlifting essentially for your upper body. That's a tough one. The next one, stares at a screen for 5+ hours a day. Eats more sugar than protein. That's fucking wild if that's true. Tosses and turns all night. Can't squat their own body weight. Can't deadlift their own body weight. Walks less than 5,000 steps a day. Hits the snooze 3 times before getting up. Piles on meds for lifestyle diseases. Gets winded walking upstairs. Watches their body decay year after year. This isn't getting old. This is neglect. That's kind of the quote. Now, most of that's probably true. I don't think all those things aren't necessarily important for a lot of people, but some of them are insanely important. Like if you want to hit the snooze 86 times, like I don't really give a shit. I don't see how that matters. And if you can't squat your own body weight or deadlift your own body weight, I don't really think that's that important for a lot of people. You should be able to squat something and deadlift something, obviously, but the other ones, staring at the screens for 5 hours a day, eating more sugar than protein and not getting like the steps in, that's kind of crazy to me. Those are easy, like really controllable ones, but just the thing of an average adult. So if you're listening to those and you're like, well, I can do some of those things and that not all those things are true, like then you are better than the average, my friends, which is a good place to be. And just some basic stats as we kick off. So with that, I'm going to talk about my training specifically here, what I do on a day-to-day, kind of week-by-week basis, what that looks like currently, what my plan is kind of heading into the new year. Then I'll go into the nutrition piece of what I personally do. Actually, that's not true. I'll go into the supplementation piece, and then I'll go into the nutrition piece. And hopefully you guys can get something out of that. Now, full disclaimer, as I talk through this, I'm not saying do what I do. By no means. Obviously, I am my own person. I have my own goals, my own genetics. I'm just sharing with you guys like what works for me and what I've done. And again, if you want to be, a middle-aged, 40-plus-year-old man and kind of do what I do, then this is going to be for you. Otherwise, take the pieces that you think will work for you and your goals in your life. Now, understand, I work for myself. I basically built this is basically my man cave, because if you come in my office, like it looks like the coolest place ever, because my wife would never let me put this shit up in my house. So I have this, and I built this gym out. So I have essentially unlimited money to buy whatever piece of equipment and design it any way that I want to. And I work here. So any time of the day I have a key, I can come in, I can do my stuff. I control my environment is what I'm saying. I'm not really a slave to anybody's schedule. Obviously, we get up early here and we work, and I give our clients, in my opinion, the best of me, so they get the most energy that I have in the day. And then when they leave, then I can start my training. So it's not like it's 100%. Like where if I had, let's say $100 million, I probably would I come in here anymore? I don't know, man. Yeah, I might do like 2 days a week. I could come hang out with these guys like at 6 a.m. and maybe do like a Sunday group. I might do that if I had 100 million. But am I going to come here tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock? Fuck no, I'm not doing that. I love you guys, love the community. It's great, but somebody else has got to come do that. I would just, you can't see me at that level. I'll do it now because I still like it. It's fun, but there just comes a point where it's like, man, 4 a.m. is waking up at 4, dude, is different than waking up at 6. It's just those are two different planets. But I digress. My schedule is really my own. I decided to come in here on Monday that early. I could have somebody else come in for me. I could do the same thing on Tuesday and all the other days. So I say all that to say this. I control my entire world, every single aspect of it. Very few things can kind of throw me off balance. So take that for what it's worth as you listen to this. If you're like, well, Jeremy, I got 4 kids. I travel for work 3 days a week. Your training is going to look different. Your nutrition is going to look different. Your supplements are going to look different. Take the easy pieces here that I share with you and use those. Don't feel like you have to follow this like it's the Bible. So training for me, I do something every single day. And that doesn't mean that I come in here and I die a split squat, assault bike death every single day for all 7 days. However, I do something every single day. I'm active every single day. I have these essentially non-negotiables that I'm not willing to move, and I'll talk through those. But from a training standpoint, every single week I do 4 dedicated loading days, or what I would call like dedicated lifting days. And historically, that's looked like an upper body strength day, a lower body strength day. I'll take kind of a pause day on Wednesday in between. I'll do something different. And then I go back to an upper body kind of hypertrophy day, which is more kind of bodybuilding style. And then the same thing for the lower body. And those might be interchangeable depending on how I feel. Obviously, if I'm tired, I'm sore, my schedule's crazy, maybe my joints hurt, or I got something going on, I might swap a strength day here versus a hypertrophy day here. Or if I'm just being a little bitch and I got to talk myself into doing something different, I'll move those days around. So if I know like, hey man, I don't want to do all this volume today, but I can go heavy deadlifts and split squats because it's less volume for me, I can talk myself into doing those days a lot easier. And that's just me personally. So what I mean is if I had to look at doing, 5 different exercises, 3 to 4 sets of 10, 12, 15 reps per, that's a lot mentally to look at versus if I came in here and I'm like, I'm just being, not the best version of me. I'm like, hey man, can you deadlift, just like maybe 315, 5 sets, but just 5 reps a piece? Yeah, I can talk myself into doing that pretty easy. Or if it's split squats, instead of doing, 5 sets of 15 at a lighter load, can I talk myself into doing just 5 reps by 5? So again, just like 5 heavy, like if I grab, let's say, if I want to be real stupid, like grab 100-pound dumbbell in each hand, so 200 pounds, and do split squats, do 5 reps on the left leg, 5 reps on the right leg, take the pauses in between, repeat that for just 4 more rounds. Now it's only 25 total reps. Mentally, for me, that's easier to chew on versus looking at like, man, I got to do, 55 reps over here. I got to do 45 reps over here. It's just sometimes that mental shift of swapping those out is what I'll do, especially if it's going to help me get the workout in. And that's totally okay. In a program, you guys, and this is my take on all programming. In a perfect world, you'd follow it to a T. You would never deviate. Nothing would ever change. However, that's not life. Maybe your kid gets sick. You got to fire. You got to put out at work. Something's going on, in your business, whatever it may be. Or you're just run down. You got sick. Your knees bothering you. Your shoulders tight. You name it. It's okay to modify. I look at a program as kind of like a speed limit where it's like, if it says go 55, but if you want to go 47 one day or 62 the next day, like that's totally okay as well. So it's just kind of a guide. It's to take you to your North Star. You don't have to follow it like it's the Holy Grail. And there might be days where it said you're supposed to do, it's assault bike work, it's sled work, it's heavy farmer's carries, it's, reverse lunges, or you name it. And it's just, it looks daunting. That might be a day where you just put on a ruck pack and you walk around. Or that might just be a mobility day. And then you get loose and you get warmed up and you throw in some bicep curls and some push-ups and some bodyweight squats and you're good. Like that's okay too. But for the most part, those 4 dedicated days for me is what I stick to. I don't talk myself out of those. I've been able to commit to that for the last couple of years. And that's essentially what I'm going to commit to as I move into 2025, because I feel really good doing that right now anyway. And again, there's days where I do heavier work, but lower volume. And full disclaimer, obviously being a dude in his 40s, the days of me deadlifting 500 pounds, 600 pounds, they're done. Can I do some of that stuff still? For sure. But what good's going to happen, right? Like I have the same spine I've had for, 40 plus years. There's only so much wear and tear you can put on it. So for me, if I grab something heavy, like over 300 pounds for lower volume, that's more than enough stimulus to keep my hamstrings and my glutes from looking like a pancake ass. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to go more than that. And the same thing if I'm loading squats, like I don't see a reason why I would ever have to do heavier than, the heaviest kettlebells we have here are 106 pounds. So if I grab a 106 pound kettlebell in each hand and do split squats for 5, 6, 7, 8 reps, 9 reps, 10 reps, that's fucking insane, dude. That is such a rough day. There's no need for me to load the spine at that point. I don't need to back squat ever again. Now, I'm not against it. I might do some like lighter load stuff where we do a protocol here where you take 100 pounds. So we take a barbell, which is 45, put on the 25s, and then obviously just put the 2.5s, load it to 100 pounds and do 100 reps consecutive without stopping. So you're doing 100 reps without putting the weight down. And typically a good goal is for us around like 5-ish minutes, give or take, which is actually pretty fast. And that would be like the heaviest I probably load the back squat. And there's just movements I don't have to do anymore being this age, and that's totally okay. But I don't go as heavy as I can go. I always leave, probably a rep, excuse me, or 2 in the tank for the heavy stuff. Now the lighter stuff, I take it a lot closer to failure, even like some of the body weight stuff. And so just think, I do some strength days, like heavier work, compound lifts, like your bench, your overhead press, your squats, your rows, your deads, those things. And then the hypertrophy work, which is essentially the same patterns, but I'll throw in a lot of the bodybuilding type stuff that I love. Your face pulls, your lateral raises, all the reverse fly stuff, all the bicep curl variations, calf stuff. You go heavy, you go light. I like them all. So again, and I do things that I like to do. And that's kind of what the week looks like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for me. Also on some of those days, depending on how I feel, I'll do some weight vest work inside of that. So even on like the hypertrophy days, especially, I'll wear either like the hyper vests, the weight vests, which are up to 20 pounds, or I'll wear the ruck vest we have here, and mine's always loaded to 60 here, historically. I have a plate carrier too, which is a different thing, but the vest I put on, the heavy one you guys see, it's 60 pounds. So if I want to come in and do some strength work, like for pull-ups and dips, I'll wear that vest. I wear that vest a ton for dips, for pull-ups, even the deficit push-ups, hands like on a kettlebell or dumbbells, 60-pound vest on, and then I'm doing those body weight reps. I do the same thing for lunges, the same things for squats, the same things when I do like reverse lunges or even step-ups, I'll put that 60-pound vest on. And that's crazy because if you can start to load those things, you guys, like loading dips, loading weighted pull-ups, and loading your push-ups, do the sets you can, even if it's lower reps. If you can't do 10, do 5, do 3, do 1, do 2, whatever you can handle. Do your working sets of those loaded, take that vest off and rip through the body weight sets. It's almost like it's like you weigh nothing. It's like if you've ever played baseball and you put like a heavy donut on and you swung the bat, you take that donut off, it feels like your bat speed is 10x. It's the same thing if you can load those pull-ups or load the dips and you dump that vest off, you're ripping through those. You're doing high pull-ups. You can feel every single muscle move in the back. You can feel this greater range of motion. I do love doing things like that. And that's a great way to add external load to the body where you don't actually have to hold any weight. It just makes life tougher, but it makes you so much stronger. So if you can do your walking lunges, instead of holding 2 30-pound dumbbells, I'll put on a 60-pound ruck vest. And then if I want to handle it with something, I can do that as well. Same thing with the step-ups. I think that's a great tool that I've just started doing probably the past, 6 months. And then also I will throw in like a lot of the mobility stick work. Again, if you guys don't have a mobility stick, it's essentially just a long stick. If you could, you could probably go find a fucking tree branch or something, or like a broomstick would be totally fine. A Swiffer if it's long enough, and all the old school type of ab work, a lot of mobility work I throw in with that. I'm going to share a bunch of it on Instagram here, probably in the next like month or two. But I do throw a lot of that stuff in as well, all on my loading days. And I'll talk about the mobility piece in a second. But that's my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday typically, and then Wednesdays for me is kind of the day in between. That's like my heavy mobility and accessory work. So all the mobility flows I go through, all the tissue work, I'll go heavier on like foam rolling on those days. I'll work through basically everything from my toes all the way up to essentially my neck is what I go through. And then the accessory work I do, I'll do a lot of stuff with my feet because most people neglect them. The bottom of the feet gets super tight. I'll roll the feet out. I'll stretch the feet. I have a whole protocol for my feet, my ankles, and my calves, honestly, to work through those, whether it be like FHL calf raises, tib raises, all those types of sets. And then I'll work my way up. I'll go to the knee. I'll come up. I'll go quads, hamstrings, hips, glutes, and I'll go, talking TFL. You're into piriformis. You're into psoas, and just all the way up the chain. And then on top of that, if I feel good and I'm awake, I'll just do fun stuff. Like, again, I'm a bro. I'll never not be a bro. And it's like, you can never do too many bicep curls. It's like having too much money or having too much sex or like having too good of a time. Like it's really not a thing. I don't see what's the worst thing that can happen. Like your arms are super jacked. Like, oh, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll always think that's cool. Like for 1,000 years, I'll never change. Never, ever. Like, I just think that's fun. So I'll do things like that, or I'll throw push-ups in. If you ask me, like, what are the movements I do the most in all reality? Like, and I say the bicep stuff kind of to be funny, but also because on my upper body loading days, I don't do as much like direct arm work, if you will. I keep it compound for the most part. Like I'll do like maybe a couple sets of curls or something, or like some TRX tricep extensions, or like some skull crushers. But again, I try to keep it to dips. And if I'm just doing pull-ups and chin-ups and rows, that's where a lot of the bicep work comes in. So that Wednesday for me turns into heavy mobility, taking care of the things that are sore and tight on me. So I know if my left hip is tight or my right knee is bugging me, I'll work on like some of that terminal knee extension stuff. I'll work on, some hip cars, but I also have energy typically. Like I'm recovering from the other days, but because the day is more lax and those are smaller muscle groups, I can throw in things like preacher curls and the skull crushers and just like, and have fun with it. And I think that's a huge part of training, where we think like we have to go in every day and beat the fuck out of ourselves and die. And it's just not the case, especially if you're older and you're not, I don't think ever that's smart, but if you're over 25, you have to kind of start thinking in that plane, because and I fully admit it. Like, I thought you always had to die when you train. I thought you always had to leave here like almost in a wheelchair. And that steals from so many pieces of your life, where I would just be a bag of shit at my house because I'm so tired because I died in the gym. And that's what we call like your fitness steals your fitness. And there was probably a span of like 10 years, like legitimately 10 years, where I would come in here and feel like I got hit by a fucking bus, or like I got in a fight with like prime Mike Tyson, not Mike Tyson from the other night. Father Time is undefeated, you guys. Ugh, tough to watch. Respect. Glad he got his money, but man, that stuff was tough to watch, those train wrecks. Anyways, my point is, like, I trained like I got, Mike Tyson beating the shit out of me every day for a decade plus, coming into work, my body being so sore in my head as I'm keying in at 5 a.m. thinking like, man, can I take a nap tomorrow? Like, because your work day is so fucked. You're thinking about taking a nap 2 days from now. Like, that's not necessary anymore. You got to live to train another day. And the skills you build in the gym, you should be able to take with you outside of the gym. So you don't train in here just to have the results live in here. You train in here to go be able to hike, to paddleboard, to snowboard, to play basketball, to chase your kids, to, be able to move heavy shit. It's like farmers carries. It's the original exercise. It's the original exercise. We pick up heavy shit and we fucking move it. That's what humans do. We're not good at anything else. We're super slow, but we can go long distances for long periods of time, slowly, and we can carry shit. And so that way, when you have to like pick up your kid, if you're going to do some landscaping at your house, if you have a friend that ever asks you to move because you got a truck, now you're the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like those things should help you outside of the gym, and that's what we work on them. And that's what my Wednesdays tend to be. I also will do, I have way more computer work to do on those days typically. I'm doing way more app work. So my steps are usually lagging. So I usually have like a dedicated ruck day on that day as well. And then the only days left I have are Saturday and Sunday. And Saturdays for us historically are where we're filming content. I will do a workout for sure. But it all is predicated on how do I feel from the week? And then how much stuff do we have to film? And what I mean is we do what I call fake fitness here. It's like I'm working out, but they're just in little clips. And so it's like, this is how social media works. A lot of the stuff you guys see, we'll film 20 different clips in a single day. I'll essentially just change outfits. And it's like you're like, it's like a little fucking movie. You know, it's like, I'll do this workout. I'll change a hat. I'll do this workout. Yeah. Sean's like, what? I go, yeah, dude, we can't, there's no way I can possibly film in real time. Like I have a job. My wife has a job. We got animals. I'm going to have a kid. I got shit to do. So we call it chunking for those people who don't know on social media. If you want to be good at this is what you do. And you film a bunch of stuff in like 2 hours. And then you get stuff for multiple weeks. That's how it really works. So we'll do that. And I used to think that really didn't count as exercise when I was younger. And then you start to look at these clips and it's like, well, you're doing kettlebell swings with a 106-pound kettlebell. You're doing deadlifts with 315 pounds. You're running with this ruck pack on. Like you really did work out. And I always, in the days where like I'm smoked, that's just my workout for the day. It's just this random kind of, mixed bag of stuff. And that's a great workout. And I think that's what I'm saying to you guys is that's fine for you too. If you don't want to follow a program one day and you just want to go in and have fun in the gym and just do 10 random things, 3 sets of this, 2 sets of this, like that's cool. That's fun. That's activity. That all counts to make you healthy. And over time, it can all build muscle if you do it consistently. Like I find nothing wrong with that. Like you should gamify it a little bit. Like what we do in the app and what we do with fitness is it's a game. It's like essentially my job is, I teach bear crawls and jumping jacks for a living. I'm a glorified PE teacher essentially. But I make these terrible workouts that it's like a really shitty video game. Like if you play like Tetris or Mario Kart or, Tecmo Bowl, those are fun video games. Like you want to play them. We make terrible video games here. Hey, assault bike 50 cals in 2 minutes, run around the building 3 times, do 50 push-ups, do 100 pull-ups. Like that's an awful video game. And then maybe you can beat it in the time, but maybe you can't. That's really what we do. It's called gamify. And so you can do that with your own workouts. You can follow our stuff, obviously, and we'll give you the terrible stuff we do, or you can make it fun and do it on your own. That's what fitness is. It should be fun. There's no one definition of it's not CrossFit, it's not bodybuilding, it's whatever you want it to be in the moment. And I think that's totally okay. So my Saturday a lot of times is that. If I do a legit workout on Saturdays, usually it's just sled pushes and pulls, it's farmer's carries, and I usually do just like some kind of ruck walk, or if I do sprint intervals, I'll do it on the air runner here, like 10 seconds on, like a full minute off repeats. And that's about it. And I try not to do that a ton because on Sundays, as you guys know, we do our in-house Sunday Advanced Metcons. We give you guys the kind of Instagram version. We do the real ones in here. So, and right now my nose is running like a motherfucker. And I feel like I got a cough too. But I'll take a tissue. I got to show my camera guy throwing me a tissue. If you guys are watching on YouTube, here you go. But my point is on Sundays, and it was so cold outside today too. Jesus. The workout we did today was there's a 5-minute block, and we did assault bike 30 cals in 2 minutes or less, ski 500 meters or less, row 500 meters or less, and then the erg bike 1,000 meters or less in 2 minutes. And then you had to run around the building, and all that had to be done in a 5-minute block. And we went through that twice. So it's a 40-minute workout essentially. And our building run here is about 400 plus meters. So if you made all the times, you get a point. And then if you get the full lap, you get a point. So it's essentially, how many zone minutes do I have? Like 87 total because my heart rate wouldn't come down. And I'm already at like 8,500 steps for the day just in that workout. And those are tough. And the savages here obviously make the times, and then there's some of the people here that don't make the times. But that's kind of what my Sundays are. Sundays are, for me, the hardest metabolic workouts I can do for the week because one, today there was 18 people here, and so it's much easier to do with 18 people. I don't really have to work afterwards other than the podcast and then just like some admin stuff. So I don't have to go like speak to people in person or like be a fucking functional human. So I can beat the shit out of myself and then come in here and just kind of limp through these episodes with you guys. And that's what I do. And I can maybe take a nap later today. It'd be hard for me to do that like on a Monday and then go like be a real human and be productive. I just can't. So my entire training schedule is built like around like me and like what I can do and what works best for my individual life. And that's what my Sundays are, our hardest training days. And I also do it that way because we have so many other people in here. And especially for those workouts where it's hard for you to get up. If you're a dude who grew up like me watching Arnold and Stallone and Van Damme, you probably like always want to do the bodybuilding type shit. Like you probably can always talk yourself into bench pressing. You can probably talk yourself into doing curls and overhead press and like lat pull downs, like just the bro shit, like the stuff that, you know, made you look like He-Man. It's probably harder for you to talk yourself into doing assault bike sprints, you know, or 1K skis on the erg, or literally just running in general for time. That's why having 18 people in the room, it's kind of like that sports mentality of where when I was in college, like running sprints, there's days where like I wanted to quit, but there's 10 other dudes here who are running next to me. And one, I didn't want them to take my scholarship away. And two, because I'd work in a factory and now I'd be just ripping cigs doing construction and then there'd be no Jeremy Scott Fitness. So that was also a motivator. But these other guys are running and they're not quitting. And I'm not going to quit either. And I don't want to be, I'm going to try to be first, but I sure as fuck I'm not going to be last. And that's kind of the mentality here on a Sunday. Not like we're competing with each other. We're just competing with ourselves, but the energy of other people does help you. And that's where I do think community is important. And anybody who's worked in fitness and then gotten out of it, like my young kid, Brian, who just left here today, he's now works at Oppenheimer. He's a financial advisor. But even for him, it's like his step count, he came in today and he's like, I took the step count for granted of what we used to do here. Because like on a Monday for me by 10 a.m., I have like 15,000 steps in because it's just 5 hours of constant walking and coaching and talking to people. That goes away in corporate America. Also does the motivation to train like a savage on certain days because you're not in the same environment. And that's why I feel community is so important, whether it is like in an app or something or in your, like, so if you're in Scottsdale or Phoenix and you come here, you know the energy and you know the people and like it's a motivating thing where you don't have to think. You just show up, the workout's done, we take you through it and you rip it. I think that's important for everybody. Shout out to all of you guys who do our stuff on the app and you're in like fucking Indiana or Nebraska or Wisconsin and you're training in your garage or your basement and you got your kids' toys around or you're in your garage and it's 37 degrees and you're smoking it. Respect, dude, because it's really, really hard to do. And my hat is off to you forever. But that, you guys, is essentially my week, most weeks. And that's my plan heading into 2025. Now, I will say this, when my travel schedule moves a little bit, usually because Heather wants it to move, and that's the only person who can even remotely nudge me to do something outside of my routine. There's some weeks where I'll do like total body splits, where it's like total body, total body, total body. And then I'll mix in some of BJ Gaddour stuff because we have all of BJ's stuff from 2024 in the app now. Or we will. We have it all. I've loaded a bunch of programs in there, and we'll continue to do that. But that will be my alternative week, where it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lifting. The Tuesdays, Thursdays, I'll go through some of BJ's stuff, which is very dynamic. It is a lot of movement patterns that I wouldn't do, multiple planes of motion, things that I like. And then I'll do some work on the erg stuff. When I say the erg, I'm talking the Concept 2 bike, row, ski here, so I don't get knocked off of every single board here because I got some young kids who are coming in here. And they're savages, man. And in my 40s, bro, it's just, it's hard to be MJ from 87 when you're now MJ from the second three-peat. Just fadeaways and layups at this point for me. So that's my week. And then also I do mobility every single day. You guys know, 60 minutes a day. I'll do at least an hour of mobility every day. The only days I can kind of do that consecutively is typically probably like Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays. The other days I kind of put the pieces in as they come. So like I'll coach a group. There'll be 15 minutes in between. I'm talking to clients, and I might do mobility for 12 minutes there. I might do mobility for 8 minutes here. Maybe I'm on a phone call, I'm working through ankle mobility, or I'm doing pigeon stretches when I'm on that phone call. So I'll work through, but I do mobility for an hour a day, every day, and I've done that for almost the past probably 2 years. Ever since I had like the disc issues in my back, I just made a point to like bulletproof myself as best I can, and injuries are going to happen, and that's the one thing I'll say. Um, as you get old, you guys, like you're going to be in pain. It's inevitable. And I'm not saying like chronic pain where you can't move, but to think you're going to wake up and feel like you did when you were 19, it's nonsense. You're going to have pain. And I think Lane Norton said this. He's like, you're going to have pain in life, and you can either be strong and have pain or be weak and have pain. Which one do you want? And I think we would all agree, like being strong and having some pain is way better than being weak and having some pain. So it's like train. You got to train anyway. And I think the biggest thing physicians will say to people is like when there is some pain or when something does hurt or, it bothers them, they'll say, well, you just rest. And then people end up in this state of like perpetual rest forever. You have to move. You got to take the body through range of motion. You got to figure out what you can do. And if your foot hurts, it doesn't mean you can't, again, bicep curls, dude. You can, if your knee hurts, you can still do preacher curls, bro, like forever. So my point is that there's going to be some of those things that come with it. So, but I do mobility every day, tissue work, to try to bulletproof myself the best I can. I hang daily from the pull-up bar, kind of the BJ Gaddour, every hour on the hour type stuff. I go through hip work every single day, froggers, threading, a lot of pigeon stuff, a lot of hip cars, a lot of internal rotation, a lot of external rotation, 90-90s, shin boxes. Those are things for me because my groin hips tend to be like, perpetually tight for me. And I'll work on my trouble areas the most I can, but I'm a huge fan of hanging. And I'm just a huge fan of like getting the hips to move and just being in hip extension versus just hip flexion, I think is vitally important. Standing more than sitting. I walk 10,000 steps every day, minimum. I rucked daily for an entire year, so 365. Now I ruck probably 3 or 4 days a week. I get the steps in regardless, but I'll do a dedicated, like a ruck, whether that's 20 pounds or up to 100 pounds, 3 or 4 days per week. And then on top of that, my goal is to play basketball at least twice a month. And then when I say play basketball, I mean like by myself or with Heather, just like shooting, dribbling, seeing if I can still dunk. Thank God I can barely hanging on there, but I'm still in the game. And then ideally, I'd love to get like 1 to 2 track sessions in a month if I could, but logistically, it's hard with my schedule and school's in session too. And for some reason, they frown upon 40-plus-year-old guys running around the school track with no clothes on during school hours. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's I don't know. It's not like I have a van and I'm handing out candy or anything, but you see what I'm saying? Like it's tougher to get to the track, and we have some really nice tracks here. So if I can get to them, I'll get to them. But that'd be my ideal training week. And again, you guys, some of that stuff just comes from my own life experience of what works for me and what I want to do. And the mobility piece, I probably wouldn't do that much mobility if if I never got hurt, I probably wouldn't put that much time into it. But it's like sometimes it takes that catastrophic thing to push you forward to that kind of like, oh shit, wake up moment to make you realize like you can't keep doing what you've always done, especially as you get older. You have to change. And that was like a kind of my wake up call that came in. You can still be a savage, but you can be a savage in your 40s, not in your 20s. And that's where that piece comes from. And that's why I dedicate those things. And so the mobility piece has been with me for 2 years, an hour a day, every day for 2 years, kind of like the rucking was. Same kind of thing. Like, let me build up my spine. Let me build up my hips. Let me get moving through space. Walking more than I was because I was doing so much computer work and so much app work, ruck every single day for a year. Just like when I did Meta Shred Extreme with BJ Gaddour and those guys, and we did that split squat video that damn near made me want to quit fitness forever and give the money back. I did split squats every single day for a year because I'm like, I don't want to show up to any other video shoot and have that be my Achilles heel. I want it to be like something I'm really good at. And that's kind of what I do is I take my kryptonite and I try to like bulletproof myself as best I can against it. And I think all of you have probably been in the same boat where it's like if you've had a back injury or a knee injury, you really start to take care of that thing and like you don't want to go back to that. And that's kind of what I do with my training. So I just try to be as smart. I'm going to say I'm a meathead. I'm a dumb, gorilla in a warehouse here, but I try to be as smart as I can with my training. And I hope you guys do the same thing. And again, this works for me. And that's the training in a nutshell. I'll go through the supplement part real quick, and then I'll go into the nutrition. All these pieces are important. They all matter together. Now, the supplement stuff here is probably the least important, obviously, of the three. But again, it does make up a difference in terms of like your training results and what it really looks like. And what I mean is, if you're eating like shit and not really training hard and you sleep like crap, don't waste the money on supplements. But if you're somebody who's on a good training routine, you're eating good food, and you're getting good sleep, the supplement piece could be like a 5% difference, maybe a 10% difference in your results in terms of how you look and move and feel. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot if you do the other pieces right. Now, if you're eating like a trash can and you're skipping training and you stay up all night watching Netflix, don't waste your money on supplements. But if you're somebody who gives a fuck and you're doing the other pieces right, these are the supplements I take. And the only reason I take these is because it supplements what I'm trying to do in my training, in the results I want. And it supplements things that I can't get in my normal daily diet. That's why I do it. If you can get all these things in your normal daily diet and your normal daily life, then you probably don't need them. But it's very, very tough to do. So again, all of these are sponsors that we work with. If you guys want discounts on any of this stuff, reach out to me. I'm happy to hook you up. The first one, it's AG1. You already know. I take it every single day. You want a free sample? Just ask. I've taken it every day for damn near 7 fucking years. I don't think I've missed a day, to be honest with you, unless I had one day I had food poisoning real bad where I was shitting and puking everywhere. So maybe that day I skipped it. But short of that, I take it every day. I put it in this little shaker bottle. I usually keep them right under my desk here. And then I just throw it in water, slam it, and I'm good to go. It's essentially all the vitamins and minerals. There's probiotics, there's prebiotics in there. That's why I take it. I'm not going to eat 10 to 12 servings of fruits and veggies a day. That's fucking bananas. I can't do that. If I ate that many Brussels sprouts, I'd fart all night. I'd never have sex. What is this life about if I can't have sex, right? Heather's not going to, what am I going to be Dutch oven her every night? Nobody wants that, dude. It's disgusting. So I eat the stuff that I can. I eat blackberries every day, raspberries, cauliflower rice I'll do asparagus. But I'm nowhere near 10 to 12 servings of fruits and veggies. So I can't get all the micronutrients I need. That's why I'll take the AG1. And I do think the digestive enzyme piece of it and the probiotics and the prebiotics for my gut health is vital. That's another huge piece. So even when I travel, especially when I'm not on my normal diet, I can't do what I normally do. It helps me kind of get to where I need to be. That's it. So I don't feel like I'm cheating myself. If I go, I fly to Minnesota and I see my best friend and we go to this place called Maynard's, and it's the Midwest. It's fucking cheese curds and beer battered, fish, chips, and what else could you get there? That's probably much fucking it. It's the Midwest, dude. Maybe some tater tot hot dish and some beers. No, that's obviously not an ideal day in terms of micronutrients. So I'll take my AG1. At least I don't feel like a complete asshole. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a busy adult and you travel, this is a nice go-to in your pocket. And also for me, the adaptogens and the things to help my immune system so I don't get sick, I think it's vital. So that's what I do. I take it every day. I also take vitamin D3 and K2. AG1 throws it in for a year for free. Again, even in Arizona, I know it sounds crazy. There's days where I don't get enough sun exposure because you need most of your body. So full chest, full back, and part of your legs for probably 20 minutes every single day. If you have a job and kids and it's tough to do. It really is. Now, I could walk around here shirtless, I guess, in the air park, but during work hours, I just look like an asshole. So I try not to do that. And I guess I could be in my backyard kind of half naked. Sometimes I do that, but it's I can't do that every day, especially if I work. So the D3K2 is what I'll take. And I think that's important for most people. If you live in the Midwest, it's a non-negotiable. It just is. And vitamin D3, it's not even a vitamin. It's almost excuse me, a bad word. It's almost like a hormone regulator. There's so many pieces that go into taking that. So I think it's critical for a lot of you guys. On top of that, I'll take a creatine. I just do 5 grams every day. Super simple. Obviously, I eat creatine in the meat that I eat, but to get enough, I don't think it's possible. So I'll take a creatine from Substance Nutrition. Again, we got a discount if you guys want to check that out. Microcell hooked us up with that. It's easy to do. Creatine is, I believe, the most reviewed supplement that's ever existed in the history of mankind. So no problems there. Again, if it can help you guys with just muscle, strength, endurance, there's now a bunch of studies that say it helps with cognition to help you, I guess, think a little bit better, be a little bit smarter. Lord knows I need that. So if that even helps me like 1%, I'll fucking take it. On top of that, krill oil, that's our omegas. I think that's important for you guys in terms of heart health. I do eat fish, but not nearly enough and as much as I would like to, partially because we live in the desert, and then I got to get it frozen. Chula's good here for seafood. What else? Nelson's Fish Market's legit. But dude, it's like $40 a pound for fish. It's crazy. So I got to get it frozen typically. And salmon's probably my biggest go-to, and I'm not going to eat it every day. So I will do the krill oil. I'll do the collagen just so my skin, hair, and nails look a little bit better. Even though I already look like Bruce Willis, I don't want to look exactly like him yet, so I'm trying. I'll take a fermented turmeric, again, for the inflammation piece. And then if I can't eat my protein, which is rarely the case, protein powder. Or if I just want a smoothie or something, we use the protein from JLab, which is sweetened with stevia, or Synthesis. Again, we get discounts and all this stuff. Those are our go-tos for that. Outside of that, right now, that's probably my biggest ones. Seasonally, I'll take like a quercetin, which I just started taking recently just for inflammation, but allergies, really, if it can help with the allergy stuff, I think is huge. And then for sleep, just some magnesium. But my sleep has been great. Knock on wood, actually. Even last night, stayed up till midnight, which is so late for me. You can call me Nighthawk. Watching John Jones fight last night. So that's 2 nights in a row of late sleep for me, which is rare. But I don't feel... I'm starting to lose energy right now, actually. But I don't feel like a complete bag of shit. And historically, like being this old, if I slept for because I got up this morning at 5, if I slept for 5 hours, I'd be a complete train wreck. But I actually feel pretty good. My sleep has been awesome. So just the magnesium has been fine for me right now. I did a whole sleep podcast earlier this year. If you guys want to listen to it, if you want a deeper protocol, but that's what I've done. And short of that, that's pretty much it. That's the supplement list. If you guys want links to any of that stuff, I'll put them in the notes, but hit me up. I'm happy to answer the question. On top of that, I really don't do anything else. Right now, I don't do any THC, no edibles or anything. I have in the past, obviously, like anybody, for sleep, for sure, and just to like have a good time, like anyone. But I do feel, what is the word? Like, especially if I get up, the days where I'm up at 4, which is most days. The latest I get up ever is like probably 5 because my body is just up. But 4, a lot of these days, I feel almost like kind of groggy on THC, even if it's the lower doses. Now we have friends that do like 100 milligram edibles and function. I don't know how I would even be alive because that would take me on a trip I don't want to be on. So I tend not to do that. I just feel better on just magnesium, and I'm up, I'm sharper earlier. Where in the past, like if I did like a heavier dose of like THC, like you kind of have this, it's not like groggy like you're on Benadryl or like a NyQuil type, but I do feel a lag there, and I like to wake up and feel relatively fresh and intelligent. So that's my supplement routine as of now. And then the nutrition piece, really quick. Most of you guys kind of know what I do, but historically 1 to 2 meals a day. Some of my days it's just one big meal. Some of the days it's 2 meals. Like last week, Heather had a doctor's appointment I was at, and it took way longer than I thought it would. Again, I don't know anything when it comes to the journey she's on. So we go to this doctor's appointment. I'm thinking like, oh, we're going to be here for 20 minutes. And it's like all the ultrasound stuff, they're measuring stuff. I was there for probably 2.5 hours. So clearly I, misjudged what I was getting myself into that day. By the time I got done, it was like 4:45. I hadn't ate yet for the day, and just drove home, and that's a 1 meal day for me, which is totally fine. On the days where I maybe have a higher output and I'm struggling, I'll do kind of 2 meals, but that's it. I never do 3. I'm a 1 meal guy or 2 meal at the most, and that first one's usually a little bit smaller. The second one's usually a little bit bigger, and I've shared with you guys on Instagram what that looks like, but if it's like that first kind of meal, if I did this would be everything I could pack in. And this is basically just to kind of replenish my workout And to keep the weight on, I'll do like blackberries, like 6 ounces, maybe blueberries or raspberries, but blackberries have kind of been my go-to just for the fiber content alone. 2 ounces of like that kind of South African jerky, which is it's a bit long. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's like really like thin, like prosciutto shredded. It's just straight protein. I'll do like 2 hard-boiled eggs in there. One of those Koya drinks, which is a plant-based. It's like the pea, rice, and hemp. It's a complete protein. It has all 9 essential amino acids. There's like 7 grams of fiber in that. If I'm not full and I need more calories, I'll do one of the Synergies, like those chia kombuchas, again, just for the chia seeds alone. And I think it's, what is the carbohydrates? Maybe there's 16 carbohydrates in there. And then like one of the Perfect bars, which is like 330 calories. I think it's 20 grams of fat, 4 grams of fiber, 15 grams of protein. And honestly, I just like how those taste. And that tends to be way more calorie dense than my real food dinners, even though like hard-boiled eggs is real, the jerky's real, the blackberries are real. But the Koyas are, they have to make those drinks, and obviously like a Perfect bar, even though it's all real ingredients, there is some processing that goes into that, which I have no problem with at all. I think those are all healthy things, but that would be like my kind of bigger first meal as like I go home. And then I'll go home, do my nightly routine, and then my dinners. The most popular one I've done for the past probably 6 months is like a pound of ground elk or venison. Those have been my 2 go-tos. The game meats, just because it's mostly protein. The fat content is low. I think for a pound, you're looking at like 8 to 10 grams of fat, which is not much at all for a pound of like legit quality protein, that dark purple kind of meat. And then do a bag of cauliflower rice and then sprinkle some cheese on there. And I obviously season the hell out of it. And that's kind of been my go-to main dinner, and that's 100 grams of protein like right there off the rip. And if I need like a dessert or something, which I'll share this for you guys on IG and YouTube as well, I just haven't historically, I would do like 1 to 2 slices of like cinnamon raisin Ezekiel bread, which is probably my favorite, with like some peanut butter on it. Maybe drizzle a little honey on there, cut up some bananas, you name it. Or I'll do like a cup of the Elizabeth cereal. They have so many different flavors now. They have a cinnamon raisin one, which I'm a huge fan of. Mostly because it's cereal, so it reminds me of like, being a kid, even though it doesn't taste like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Frosted Flakes or anything, but this is like the adult healthy version of it. And there's the fiber content in there. There's they put chia seeds in there. There's flax in there. I think those grains are quality, and I'll do that with like some almond milk or something, the MALK stuff, or like yogurt with chia seeds or berries, and just for the fiber, because I think fiber is the key for you guys and for a lot of people in terms of just gut health, colon health, and just so you're not constipated and you can actually take a shit. Nobody wants to walk around feeling like you got to poop all day. That just seems gross. So fiber, eat fiber, guys. It's good for you. But that's kind of the desserts I go to for the most part. Other than that, if I do a different kind of version of that, where it's like I'm doing a one bigger meal, we're at a harder training day, I'll do like steaks. And I typically always do 2 steaks because, who doesn't want to eat turf and turf, right? So I'll do like a ribeye and like a New York strip, or I'll do like 2 ribeyes. And you guys see the stuff that I post on there. I'll do maybe some version of like a potato, so like fries or like tots or something, which we use the air fryer for everything. Roots is a great brand. They make a lot of good stuff. Even what is it? Cascadian Farms has some organic stuff. Alexia's making some organic stuff these days too. And then the Roots is just essentially just like, it's just like one ingredient. It's just like potatoes. And sometimes maybe it's just like potatoes and salt, whether that's normal or sweet or golden. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just eating it for the carbohydrates, and it makes me feel like I'm, a real person. And the air fryer makes them as close to like restaurant quality as you can get. So I'll do like, some version of steak and potatoes like that. Or if I do like tacos, it's essentially just the ground elk or venison, and it's the Siete tacos. By the way, those Siete taco shells, Siete, the best. Like, not even like from a health standpoint. Obviously, they're grain free. It's all cassava flour, but they're better than any taco shell that's ever existed in the history of mankind. Like, they're light, they're crispy. It's like if you buy those other ones, even if it's like organic corn or something, they're like kind of chewy, rock hard shit. They're not good. The Sete ones, you can't fuck with them. They're by far the best taco shells. If you guys can get your hands on them, use those for your family taco night. you message me and tell me how amazing they are. They paid me $0 fucking dollars to say that, so you know it's completely legit. They also make great chips too. And then I'll do a lot of times like elk burgers, either just the burgers, like with bacon on them and cheese, or I'll wrap them in lettuce, do kind of like a protein style. That's on my higher output days, right? Like when I tend to need more food. And then if I do like, during the week, like if I need like some treats or something, those little So Delicious does like these little mini ice cream sandwiches. They taste just how I remember like ice cream sandwiches, just like they did as a kid, except they're about as, I mean, dude, they're maybe half my iPhone. It's like the box makes them look way bigger than they are. So you get them like, oh, these are only 100 calories. And then you open them up and you're like, it's like 2 bites, but they are great. So if you can detain yourself from eating like all 10 at once and not be an asshole, like it's well worth it. So they make some good stuff. Again, like the Perfect bars are kind of my go-to. And then the same Perfect bar they make these like little dark chocolate sea salt peanut butter cups, all real food. Those are actually super addicting too. Those are good. Like I said, the Ezekiel stuff, maybe I'll do peanut butter and jelly on Ezekiel products. And if I do something like chips or something, if I have to, like Boulder Canyon is really good. They're actually here in Goodyear, Arizona is where they make the chips. And a lot of them will just be like potatoes, avocado oil, and salt. So like 3 ingredients are the best. And then again, like Siete makes so many. They make like nacho cheese flavor. They have plain tortilla chips. They even do like a churro ones, which I didn't buy because I'm assuming they're super addicting and I don't want to eat a whole bag like an asshole. So that's like during the week where it's like if I'm trying to keep it in my macro ranges and I need something, or I just want something different or something that has a crunch. And it's like, well, carrots are crunchy. Yeah, but carrots suck, dude. Like, no offense. Like carrots are fine, but like they're not chips. Like I can't get down with that. Like carrots and hummus are great. And so is, cucumbers and hummus are great. And it's crunchy and it's a dip. It's not like going to a restaurant, dude, and eating tortilla chips with salsa. Like it's not, anybody who tells you that is a fucking lunatic. Run the other way. Do not hang out with that person. Also, anybody who tells you they like love how kale tastes, they're probably a serial killer. Like, just be scared of that person. So take that with you. Last things here on my food stuff. One, if I'm going to do cheats, I do once a week. I eat something that's like kind of off the reservation, if you will. I kind of plan it out. For me, historically, it's always on Saturday. If we have a social obligation on a different day, I might swap it for that. But pretty much we do all our dinners out with friends and family and work stuff on Saturday nights. It just works best with our life schedule and my training schedule. And I use burgers and fries are probably the easiest one for me. It's probably my favorite go-to. Next to that, it's pizza for sure. Or if it's like a really nice dinner, we go out and I kind of eat whatever the restaurant is known for. Like last night, Dave DiLorenzo and I go to this place called, it's Virtue Pizzeria. It's in Old Town Scottsdale. If you're ever here, I highly recommend it. It's like legit Italian. We go there. 2 things. One, Dave DiLorenzo weighs 139 pounds. Like he weighs slightly more than a small child. This fucking dude ate more food last night than I think I could possibly eat. Like I don't know how he's alive today. Like I'm not shitting you guys. Like him and I went to this Italian pizza. So we go there. We get the meatballs. It's 4 giant meatballs. We split those. So 2 and 2. We get a huge bowl of pasta. I don't know the name of it, but it was amazing. It had was it the burrata? Is that like the big white on top of it? Rigatoni was the noodles. It was sausage in there. Amazing. Like straight soprano shit. And then he got a pizza. I got a pizza. We split all that. And then he got a salad. He ate the whole salad by himself. And then he got a whole dessert. It was like some kind of like cake and then gelato too. So he ate substantially more than me. The kid weighs 150. The kid weighs 140 pounds. It's fucking wild to see. Truly impressive. Like if in another life, he could easily be like man versus food. So my point is, that's what we ate last night. And I had 2 beers. And that's probably the first 2 beers I've had in at least a month or more. Yeah. And I came in here today and I fucking crushed. So secret to success, beer, pizza, boom, winning. I'm kidding. But that was my Saturday night. And I'll fast pretty much all day today. I'll eat my normal ground elk stuff tonight, and I'll call it a day. And that's kind of been my routine of what I do, and that works for me. And if I do anything outside of that, if it's like sweets or something, I really try to make it worth it. And it's I'm to the point of life where the ingredients matter. And I'll talk about this like in a second, but I've noticed it more and more. I used to be able to be young and eat like an asshole, and it didn't really affect me the way that it does now. Where an example I give is like, even in my lobby right now, we have donut holes. We have this friends had this, it's ridiculous, the shit people bring in here. They have this like coffee cart come to their house, and they have their neighbors come and they have coffee and donuts, and it's all super fun. But then they were left with all these donuts. My wife went to it yesterday. She brings home a box of these crumble cookies, and there's like 20 little mini crumble cookies sitting at my house. And then I come here today and they bring like 3 boxes of donut holes. All this shit is sitting around here. And this is not a knock on them. Like when crumble cookies came out, I would crush those things. And then I would feel like a complete bag of shit. And I think each one of those cookies has like 50 ingredients, and whatever's in there, it does not jive with my body. It's not a good scenario. It's good going in. It is not good coming out. I'll leave it at that. So when I eat stuff now, I try to get things from like, if it's like local bakeries or we know how they make things. So there's a couple local spots here where it's like, they'll have like, there's sea salt cookies or these organic cinnamon rolls, and the ingredients are minimal. They don't put a bunch of like artificial softeners in there and a bunch of other things that really kind of mess with my gut. Now, if you guys can eat those things and feel fine, that's awesome. I'm just a middle-aged dude where it's like, I'm not what I once was. I used to be able to drink 20 beers in a night and wake up the next day and function. I can't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't eat 2 pizzas at Oregano's, have a Pizookie, and wake up and feel fine. I got a food baby that's stuck in my intestines and my colon, and then I feel like, a bag of shit all day. Like, I have to be smart with what I do. So, like, for me, even if the foods are not in my normal diet, if they're less ingredients, they're closer to real, I tend to feel better on them. I don't think that is just psychological. It's really what I've lived. I know it's anecdotal evidence, but I feel that way. It's kind of like if you ever go to Europe and you eat pizza there and you have gelato there and you're eating the pasta there, you don't feel the same as when you eat it here historically at a lot of the places. And I felt that there, and that's kind of how I feel about the food I eat. And again, like I mentioned, diet stuff, booze, it's been rare for sure. Again, this month I had 2 beers. Last month, I think it was like 0. I'm not against it. You guys could drink a beer every single day and be super fit and super healthy if that's your thing. It just doesn't, I don't love it enough to like make it part of my daily routine, nor do I think it's a good practice for me either. So that's the food front for sure. Outside of that, in terms of just health and what I do, the biggest things in my 40s versus 30s and 20s is I just listen to my body, and I have to at this point. I go hard when I can go hard, and I kind of change gears when I got to change gears. And I know based on my work stress, my life stress, how I'm sleeping, how my joints feel. Back in the day, like if I felt like, I had some stiffness in my knees or my low back or my shoulders, I would just, and sorry if this offends anybody, I would just say like, fuck it, don't be a pussy, and just, train through it. But now as I'm older, those little nagging things, they don't just magically go away if I don't put the work in to make them go away. And so if your shoulder is bugging you and on the program it says overhead press 70-pound dumbbells for reps, maybe don't be a dumbass and press that weight overhead. Like, live to train another day. Either lighten the load, swap the exercise, change the grip, or completely move it to a different day and let your body repair itself and work through those aches and pains. You don't have to die every day, and you do have to listen to yourself. Now, if you're the type of person who always wants to take it easy and something always hurts and bothers you, that's a different conversation for yourself. But if you're like one of the people who probably listens to the stuff we talk about here, and you train to a certain level, you're the one who has to listen to those cues. If you're sore and tight every day, you still got to train through it, but you got to be smart, and you got to know between like what's something that's nagging you and what's something that's like is an injury or is on the borderline of being an actual problem. And are you doing the recovery pieces and the mobility pieces and the tissue work around it to really make that, wrist, ankle, knee, hip, back feel better? And only you can answer that. Again, On top of all that stuff, you guys sleep. Sleep is key. As many quality hours as you can get. 8 would be ideal. It's not realistic for most busy people. I mean, 6 to 7 quality restorative hours, I think, would be awesome. If you can take a nap and steal one of those throughout the day, even better. I'm a huge fan of doing that. And if you can't sleep, just rest, man. Like, just kind of that active rest, I think, is crucial for a lot of you guys. Just like decompressing and laying there and just not being stressed out about everything in life. And just kind of like, if you can be in fucking nature, just be in a quiet room and just, or do things that help you with your escapism and help you actually calm the fuck down. Getting a massage, where that's like dedicated tissue work and going through ranges of motion, or like at one of the spas or at one of these, I don't know anything about the spa envy places, if they're good or if they're bad, who knows. I go to a tissue place here. It's called Movement Restoration. They're the best in the fucking business, in my opinion. But I like that stuff. And I wouldn't say that's like relaxing. In fact, I almost want to put a mouth guard in when I go because they dig into my fucking hamstrings so much. I go, but I need to do that so I can keep training. But if I go to like one of these hotels and you go to the spa, I can almost fall asleep. I think that's a good practice too. Acupuncture is great. I go every other week to a dude down the street. He's great. Talks about all my chi energy. I appreciate it. I fall asleep every single time. If nothing else, helps the muscles relax, helps my body relax. He puts on some fucking lavender oils and some and whatever kind of music, and I'm just like out. It's amazing. I should probably do it at my house. Actually, it's like the deepest sleep you get. When like you sleep and you like wake up and like jolt yourself. Like I'll do one of those, and sometimes I forget like what day it is. It's a great practice, and I'm a huge fan of acupuncture all across the board. I used to go every week. Now I just kind of go every other week. I'll go more often if I need to. That's key for being healthy. And like I mentioned earlier, be in the sun, get outside, breathe fresh air, like do normal people shit, and also don't watch the news. Don't get sucked into social media 24/7. Don't live on your phone. Like, don't be in a negative environment all the time. Don't surround yourself with a bunch of assholes. Like, really simple things that we often overlook. And if you're asking me, like, why are you mentioning this? This is all part of my training. Like, we think of training as just like in the gym and just like what we eat. But even when you sit at your desk, first of all, everything you're doing is training. And when I'm sitting in this desk, if I'm sitting with like really awful posture, or if I'm sitting with better posture, I'm training my body to do something. If I'm sitting in, hip flexion for 8 hours a day, or if I stand up and I go into hip extension, I'm training that. So we're training to make if we're sitting for 10 hours a day, our butt is now our feet. It's like sitting to your spine is like what pizza is to like your abs, for long periods of time. It's just not good for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're training when you do that. When you're watching the news for 3 hours a night, you're training. You're living in this, 24/7 just constant news cycle of bombarding information. Most of it is not positive. And if you're just scrolling on your phone mindlessly and it's feeding you what you want and what you're watching isn't positive, it's like we're training and doing that. That's putting your mind in a negative space. It's putting you in a negative environment. If you're stuck in a toxic environment or a toxic relationship, it's training. You're training yourself to tolerate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're tolerating a certain level of pain and agony and whatever else you have. Like, that's a huge part of you being healthy or not healthy. I believe that. So I think if you can change those negative environments, the better off you can be. And also, like, I'll leave you guys with this and we'll get out of here. It's just appreciating, today, like the best you can today, and enjoying like the little moments today. Like, with your wife, with your husband, with your kids, with your dog, with your family. Like if it's, watching the Vikings game, whatever it may be, like I'm a fan of escapism, but appreciating these little things today. Like not yesterday and not tomorrow. And that's the note I want to leave you with. And I don't know who like said this initially, but it was this quote talking about like fear and like in suffering, right? And how they're kind of like connected and kind of what we do. Essentially, I'm going to tie it into like not living in the moment, because all there really is today, right? And I think this is a huge part of being healthy. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, I don't really tend to hold on to old shit, but I'll look at stuff in the future. And it's like when you're in business for yourself, it's like, well, I'm going to build this for the future. Building it for what? Like, I'm going to give Jeremy Scott Fitness to somebody? Like, who the fuck wants to do? Like, nobody wants to do this, right? Like, it's just appreciate what this business is and what my life is today. Appreciate like what my relationship is today. And try not to hold on to well, so-and-so said this to me in 8th grade, or I got divorced 25 years ago, and I know it's tough to do. There's almost like I don't, for lack of a better term, like this PTSD people have from past experiences that they hold on to, and we all do it. I'm guilty of it in my own regard, but I really try my best to kind of just live in the moment and not live in fear and not hold on to like old suffering. And if you look at fear, it's kind of the inability to manage your thoughts, that are running through your head. It's really what it is. And it's usually fear about something that hasn't happened yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're worried about the outcome of something that hasn't happened yet, or honestly may never happen. It's that I'm worrying about something now that probably will never come to fruition. So the purgatory I'm sitting in, the worrying about the thing, is often way worse than the thing. Now, sometimes the thing fucking sucks, and that's fine to go, but what did the worrying help you before you got there? You know what I'm saying? It's like when you go into and I hate medical shit. That's probably the one thing that really fucks with me the most. If I go in and I get blood work done, I'm always like, they're never going to tell me anything good. They're just going to like, what's the best thing you're going to tell me? Like, oh, you're fine. Like, that's the best news is like, you're cool. Otherwise, it's like, well, this thing's fucked up. This thing's fucked up. But if I just sit there from the time they draw the blood to the time they email me the results, I'm going to waste 4, 5, 6, 7 days of my life living in this fear of something that hasn't happened yet or may never happen. And if I made it to this point in life, it's really never happened yet. So I'm worrying about something that isn't even there. It's the inability of my mind to manage that. And that plays a huge role in you guys being healthy or not healthy. And I think most of us are suffering from things that really don't exist. We're suffering from this thing that we think is going to happen, but hasn't happened. And on the flip side, there's people suffering from stuff that happened 10 years ago. And then there's people suffering from what might happen tomorrow, but they're already suffering today for something that may happen a week from now, 3 years from now, or 5 years from now. What happened 10 years ago isn't happening right now. And your worries of tomorrow, they don't exist right now. So you got to do your best to be present and live in the moment, like for now, and not live in the suffering of yesterday and not live in the fear of tomorrow. Because life is short, my friends. And we got to do our best to actually live it while it's fucking happening today. And I know it's easier said than done, especially when you're going through some shit, but that is a huge part of being a healthy individual, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and kind of everything in between. And so I say that to you because if you're going through some shit right now, all I can say, man, is just keep fucking going. It hasn't killed you yet. You're still fucking here. You still woke up today. And I say this a lot on here, it didn't fucking bury you. So whatever you're chewing on, it didn't bury you in your life. It just planted you to grow into the badass version of the person you're going to be. Even if the growing is slow, and even if the last month has sucked or 6 months has sucked or the last 2 years have sucked, it does get better, dude. Everything is temporary, both good and bad. And so if it doesn't suck right now in this hour, just appreciate this hour. In the littlest things, dude. Like the smallest things that you can get joy from and crack a smile from, like if it's the sun shining or you playing with your dog or your wife farted and you laughed at her, whatever the fuck it is, dude, like just have fun like in those moments because that's what life is, dude. So that's my spiel, you guys. That's my whole be healthy. That's kind of my mindset of what I'm trying to do, of how I train, supplements, nutrition, and just how I'm trying to like think about my life and look at my life and just appreciate this Sunday because this day is good and tomorrow might suck fucking shit and maybe a year and a half ago sucked shit, but today is pretty cool. And I just got to appreciate this for what it is. And so do you guys. So anything I talked about below in terms of all the supplement stuff we use, all those things are in the show notes. All the discounts for our premium app products are in the show notes too. You guys can grab them. It'll be good till like Cyber Monday. It'll come out on the newsletter on the 25th, but you guys got access to it right now. If you guys want a free sample of AG1, hit me up. If you want any of our supplement guides, we have a huge detailed one which goes through everything I talked about here in detail, what every single supplement does, the reason I take them in depth. I'm happy to send it to you with full discounts on everything in between. And again, you guys know you always get the app for a week for free. If you're on Spotify, drop it a 5-star, leave a comment. Don't be a fucking lazy ass. I need the reviews. I appreciate them. Same thing for Apple. 5-star. Just write Jeremy podcast good. That's all I need. Or just write Jeremy good. That's simple. Takes 20 seconds. Helps us out a ton. If you think of anything I say is of value, leave the review. Share it with a friend. We appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. leave a comment, even if it's a creepy one. I appreciate anything. So I thank you guys as always. If you need something in the show notes, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to help you. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday. I think Heather's going to come on next weekend, maybe, and talk about this whole journey that her and I have been on, which was not super fun. Sucks shit, actually, but today is awesome. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And her and I will have some laughs on the episode for sure. So I appreciate you guys as always. And until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people. And please, you guys, keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.